NBS Frontline. The Chisoro by-elections, though emerging from a tragedy, have gained significance as a sort of harbinger of what's to come in the lead-up to the 2026 general elections. 6 members contested the elections, with 2 from the ruling NRM party, although one of them opted to run as an independent after losing the party primaries.
Many polling stations, it's like they have reported really low voter turnout.
Elsewhere, the
phones. After that, he stuffed ballot papers, predictive ballot papers into the boxes.
Could this be a signal for political parties to prepare for primaries filled with surprises ahead of 2026, as the different actors start to flex their political muscles in the anticipation of the upcoming political season? The different parties are actively promoting their agendas, aiming for victory in 2026. From the soon-to-be-registered PFF to the opposition leaders, NUB, and the fire band FDC and others, leaders are already crisis-crossing the country in an effort to secure an early advantage.
Every district has got a different serial number.
On the other hand, NRM has held a series of Thanksgiving events. While they may appear to be purely celebratory, it's hard to ignore the underlying political campaigns, especially since the guest of honor is always the party chairman, President Yoweri Museveni. With just 13 months left until the 2026 general elections, a moment that could either propel or derail Uganda's future. The question remains, how are the tours by Museveni and Kyagulanyi shaping the political landscape and setting the tone for 2026? NBS Frontline.
A very good evening and welcome to this edition of The Frontline. My name is Charles Mwangu Shampagi, and tonight on The Frontline, we discuss, they have hit the road early. How far can they go? How will this impact the result of the 2026 elections? Will they stay the course? All of them, I mean. What about the ones who are still missing out, who are missing in action? Where the leaders of other political parties, the Democratic Party, the Uganda People's Congress, the Forum for Democratic Change, the PFF, PPP, JEMA, and the others, where are they? The Alliance for National Transformation, are they also hitting the road early? Does the law protect those who are out in the field? Does it question what the incumbent is doing and how he's doing it? Is this actually campaigning or mobilizing for other reasons? We'll be asking questions around all those issues. We're also asking the question, electoral and constitutional reforms haven't been tabled yet. We have information that we might have some movement beginning early next week on constitutional and electoral reform proposals. How far can they go? How can they impact the next election, or will they at all? Candidates have already been in the field campaigning. We'll also be watching what's happening in Chisoro. By-elections for the woman member of parliament for Chisoro district have been going on. There were allegations earlier today, as you must have seen in our coverage throughout the day. Allegations of ballot stuffing, some malpractices, who's coming out, early results. What are they saying? The Americans do exit polls. We don't do exit polls. We wait until the polling stations close and early results begin coming through. But we expect that before we end this show, the Electoral Commission will announce who the winner is. But if you're very interested in that by-election in Chisoro, we're covering it minute by minute on the Afro Mobile app. So if you turn on your Afro Mobile, you should be able to follow what's going on in the Chisoro district of by-elections for women member of parliament. We'll, of course, bring you the news when the announcement is finally made and a new woman member of parliament is announced or declared by the Electoral Commission for that constituency. To discuss with me tonight on the Frontline, I have, let me start from close very here. The Honorable Ibrahim Semujunganda He's a member of a new political party emerging called PFF. He's formerly from the Forum for Democratic Change. He heads finance, Shadow Minister for Finance in Parliament. He's a former journalist. And he's been in the news earlier today, especially on social media, over some note he's received from a gentleman who's normally playing his politics quietly in the shadows, General Salim Saleh. Maybe he'll tell us a little bit about that. I have also seen some longer document, but over his comments on various programs on different media houses. Very nice to have you.
Thank
on
you,
the front line.
Charles, and good evening to viewers and those who are watching.
I have with me returning from Butambala district. Yes, Aisha Kabanda from the National Unity Platform. Very nice to have you.
It's a pleasure. Good evening, viewers. It's nice being here, Riz.
From the National Resistance Movement Secretariat, Director Finance, Hajat Medina Ojade. Medina or Medina? Medina.
Medina.
Medina. Very nice to have you.
Thank you. Good evening, viewers.
I'm told you have emptied the secretariat. Everybody is in Kisoro following the elections. You've deployed everyone you have in Kisoro to make sure that you turn out a result. From where you sit, how are things shaping up there?
Are the secretary?
No. In Kisoro. We'll come to the secretariat at some stage.
As far as I'm concerned, the race in Kisoro was NRM versus NRM. So it was Aki Feza Grace, independent but NRM leaning, and Honorable Rose Kabajin. So may the best candidate win. From what I was seeing, all the other political parties were invisible as far as our mobilization on ground or as far as the voters in Kisoro were concerned. Kisoro has always been an NRM district, and that has been demonstrated in the recent campaigns that the two strong contenders were all members of the NRM party.
Okay. Aisha, you have a candidate in that election. How are things going from where you...
Yes, we do have a candidate, and we would like to congratulate her upon coming out and present herself to the electorate. We knew the results before even they were announced. You saw what happened. You saw the broad day rigging. The military issues laughing, but these were on video. At least people are able to bring out the evidence. Broad day rigging, pre-ticked votes in the public, being guarded by police and the military officers. So many times we can pre-tell the evidence, but our role is to be there, educate the masses, okay? Tell them to fight for their space. It is our civic right to fight for that space, and we shall always do until we wear the victor's crown.
You say you knew the results even before they announced. So could you give us an insight on what the results might look like?
She's just said it was NRM against NRM. I have just seen like the person whose votes were being predicted in her favor is winning. That's what I've
You don't have the numbers of her?
But even if you had them, would they give you space? Would they give you space? What it's apparent is that the NRM is not willing to lose any by-election, okay? They do everything that it takes. They will deploy every government resource, all the soldiers, all the vehicles, all the monies to win a by-election. They've always done, okay? From the lessons that we had earlier, we were able to tell, okay? But we are saying we are not going to give space. We shall not relent. We shall keep on. We are not going to sit like crying babies. We shall keep on to fight for our civic right until we have it. You know, rights are not given.
You've been able to pick up some by-elections in previous by-elections. You've been able to pick up some representation. What happened in those?
What's apparent is that as the President Museveni ages, his tolerance to the opposition reduces, okay? His tolerance to giving space to divergent views, to people who oppose him, reduces. I don't know whether the opposition has won any by-election around this time. I don't remember. Honorable Samuji might remind me. Around this time, not a single opposition seat has been won in a by-election. And that one, we were not very blind to that fact. But we are saying we are not going to fold our arms and look on. You know, the more the opposition has been going to the people and speak to these things, the more people have been awakened, okay? The civic competence of our people is improving. There are many that did not see things the way we are seeing them. Earlier, when Kanoki's Avesije started, I think the western region was a no-go area for the opposition. No one would think that the opposition would go to Kisoro, and you are welcomed overwhelmingly like Bobby Wine was welcomed, okay? It's been a very difficult thing. So reaching where we are, it's been a long journey that's been played by our predecessors, and we are adding on to it block by block.
The Honorable Semujunganda, do you have a candidate in Kisoro?
First of all, let me help people understand Kisoro.
Mm-hmm.
I think in my view, even without rigging, the NRM will still win in Kisoro, even without rigging.
Why is that so?
I have been in Kisoro once. I have told that story here. We have a guy who has worked at our place for more than 35 years. So we made a decision as a family of Wajari Nganda to go and visit him in Unagana at the border. And I led the team. The police at Unagana, reinforced by police from Kisoro, raided his home. And the question they were asking, they actually found me cooking because I'm a very good cook. They found me cooking. They said, why did Semuju visit you without informing the authority? A private visit of a person who has worked at home for 35 years. And the police came to ask. They chased everybody. It was chaos. I called
actually imagining that they organized a parade for you to receive it.
So Kisoro is one of those areas because it is a hard to reach district because of the nature. One of those areas that not very different from Karamoja. The NRM will not allow you to do any political activity in Kisoro. In fact, the only reason now they allow the parties, we are the person who are standing as independent associated with us because we haven't registered the party. It's because first they knew they will win, but two, the cameras are there. It is only during a by-election like this that they will allow you to access. So I have told you a private visit to go and thank a person who has worked at our home in our village for 35 years ended up with the police raiding his home with the guns, with the patrols. And after about an hour, we said we need to leave because
They had become an inconvenience.
we had ourselves become a nuisance. The whole village was collecting to see which people had visited. Just a private visit. So MPs there, in my view, they are nearly appointed the same way it happens in Karamoja. So you go in knowing, but you should also accept that you may not have the same support and following in all the areas in Uganda. And I think maybe because of its geographical nature, we have not done enough work in that area. Even in the past, actually, we've made some strides. In the past, even to raise a candidate was very difficult. People did not have courage to contest against NRM. So they made everything look like a government. But now that there can be, as the numbers I have seen of opposition candidates, maybe Kisoro will in the future also change. Aisha was speaking about Western Uganda. In 1996, Dr. Paul Semwogere was stoned. People were wondering why, who are you to come and contest here against Museveni? But now he has to do the same rigging he does everywhere to win. In some parts, some parts he wins, some parts he has to rig. So this particular by-election is one that NRM would win. But NRM, even what they can easily win, they will cheat. That's how they cheat their own elections and shoot at each other. Even internal elections. You've seen them shooting at each other in pure NRM. So
I see Medina smiling
they are so bad-mannered that even when they are contesting against each other, they will shoot at each other. They will cheat.
What do you
elections.
expect when you sound as resigned as you are, both yourself and the Honorable Aisha Kamanda, on the fate, on what you can get out of an election?
No, I have said Chisoro. The earlier by-elections during this term, they just cheated everybody. So I was in Soroti when they were cheating our turn. I have spoken to some NRM leaders. The cheating that happened in Kayunga is one that they had never seen.
It was unprecedented.
You remember Museveni himself ordering the arrest of people in the Speaker's district, Bukedea. Because in Bukedea, elections ended before it had started by 6. Because the elections are supposed to start at 7. But by 6 they had voted and the boxes were full. And these things were said by Museveni. He said they were done by UPC. So here, cheating and NRM are the same, are synonymous.
We will be exploring the journey.
It is not that we are resigning. We are telling you the reality.
Okay.
Charles, I think it's unfair for us to make allegations which cannot be substantiated. My sister, Honorable Aisha, says NRM was rigging in broad daylight. Kisoro is one of the strong NRM districts in terms of support that they give to the party. In the last elections, we got over 90% in all elective positions. I can tell you today that these results that will come out, all the opposition parties, if we put them, clump them together, they will not even get 10%. So that tells you that we cannot rig in a district that NRM is already strong. I told you earlier that the contest is actually NRM versus NRM. Honorable Akifeza was in the primaries. Honorable Grace participated in the primaries, and you all witnessed and you saw. Nobody was talking about Noob. My sister says Honorable Robert Chagulanyi was well received. I think what happens that we've always told these people that when Honorable Robert Chagulanyi always goes up country, people come to see Bobby Wine the musician. Because how comes the numbers that you are telling us do not translate into votes? People always come to see the musician. So Kisoro is purely NRM, and I don't think anybody can
Do you want to comment on
contest
the
that.
video?
Can I introduce?
I came across a video. If that video she's talking about is what I saw earlier,
At a polling
and it
station.
was clarified, actually people were speaking Luganda. The Kisoro I know, much of the people do not speak Luganda. And people are speaking Luganda, the background was Luganda, and I want my sister to come up with evidence, pinning NRM rigging in Kisoro, and I will give her a gift. But as far as I'm concerned, nothing of that nature happened, and those are always their excuses when they know they are.
No, but you see, the excuses.
Yes.
Can I introduce the Honorable Barnabas?
They are not localized. Museveni has spoken about. He has not even spoken, but he has arrested people.
Honorable Semuju, can I introduce the Honorable
without Museveni.
Barnabas Tinkasimire?
So you are not aware that
You're
he
most
arrested
welcome to the
people
show.
for Bukedea elections.
Thank you very much,
Not for
Charles.
rigging.
To our viewers and my colleagues on the panel, I was held up in Jamais, had some engagement throughout the day because tomorrow the president is going to be in our area. So we are really preparing for him. And I found you talking about Kisoro and my good friend, the Kira municipality MP. Sometimes people think he's the only MP in parliament, but we love him.
You're
But
struggling
where
to
we-
catch up.
Where we disagree is he's very sensational sometimes. He tells a number of times some truth conveniently to win an argument. But my point that I want to make is in Chisoro, as my colleague from the NRM Secretariat said, Kisoro is purely NRM. And what you see is a continued contest within the party to show that internally there is some democracy. Of course, we have to battle with the issues of discipline inside there, because ordinarily we should not even be having a candidate running against our flag bearer. But the job of a member of parliament has become highly competitive to a level that some people do not want to hear that they are not on the ballot paper. They think being on the ballot paper, they are increasing their chances of going to the House, whether they have a contribution to make or not. And but to say in Chisoro that we have other parties or we are rigging against other parties, that's not true. Those who went to campaign for their respective candidates, like my very good friend Robert Chagulanyi, he just went for a good tour, and it is acceptable. It's acceptable that he can enjoy the ambience of the hills in that place. It's a very good tourist place. Then return and try to look at his cards. Indeed, that my card cannot fit in Chisoro. We can continue talking about the contest in Uganda. There are few things that are holding NRM, but I think in 2026 we are going for a showdown.
A showdown?
Yes.
You said the president and your party chairman is in your district tomorrow.
Yes.
What is he there to do? Has he started early campaigns, or some people have said?
People may think he's in an early campaign, but you remember he has a responsibility to transform this country. He has a mandate of the people for 5 years, and he must deliver on the manifesto. So whether he's in Kampala, he can still deliver, but he has to go and interact with the masses. I have sent parish development model basically for the ordinary person. Is the money reaching? He will interact with the ordinary persons. He has gone to Bokedi. The other day he was of course in Chisoro. Now it is he's going to be in Bunyoro and find out whether these things are working. And to me, that's very, very important. And the other issue that he has had a theory of transforming the ordinary person. He thinks using the model of 4 acres. 4 acres would easily transform this country. And the people that he has worked with, particularly to foster that agenda, many of them have not grasped his perspective. And it is very, very important as he journeys into the real transformation of the ordinary person to have many more soldiers on his side who actually understand what he wants.
38 years down the road, you've been in parliament for quite some time yourself. Do you see that transformation happening on the ground? And if not, what has held it back? If it's working, how effectively is it working?
To say that there is no transformation taking place on the ground is not being honest. There is some transformation taking place on the ground, but not at the pace that we want. we would have loved to see the Korean style. But the Korean style took place in a different environment. This Uganda is also a totally different environment, particularly the people of Uganda. I was privileged to be in South Korea. South Korea, the people are highly disciplined. Every village has a bell which is rung at 5. And all people wake up to go and do drills, which take them 1 hour. 6, they assemble, whether they are 2 or 1, at their respective houses. They assemble and sing their respective national anthems. National anthem, make prayer, go for breakfast, and go to work. Retire for break tea at 11, return to work at 1, come for lunch, return to work, at 4, 5 they go for evening tea, and return for dinner and to sleep. I was privileged to at least visit most of the ordinary people who are engaged.
South Korea or DPRK, North Korea?
South Korea. I'm talking of South Korea. I was privileged to visit most farmers in the 3 months that I was there. At least I visited around 2,300 farmers. These ordinary people who are using less than an acre, who are using a quarter an acre, who are using 50 by 100 those small gardens, and they were making a very big fortune. So what I saw was a total discipline, which I think lacks here, and what we call high level of mindset change. People understood their problem and decided to say that, no, we must work. But here people are waiting for President Museveni to come and deliver parish development model, to come and deliver emyoga, to come and deliver cows, tractors. Yeah? The people in Kampala, they are waiting for handouts, for some sort to start doing things.
The many people watching were looking at the president's tours, and they're saying, no, he's done what he's always done. Get a year before the actual election, begin tours across the country, basically to mobilize for the next election. If you're talking about what you're saying, many people say, why is a Barnabas Tinkasimire, a member of the National Resistance Movement, not explaining PDM effectively to his people in the constituency? Why is Hajat Medina, Director for Finance at the NRM Secretariat, and the entire Secretariat not doing the work of political mobilization? Why are public servants who are paid to manage and implement these projects doing that?
But you see, Charles, the president called the NRM MPs and he told them he has had several meetings. The latest ones were on coffee. But he called a specific meeting to tell them it is time. Please mark my word. It is time to go to people. I am not sure Tinkasimire attended that meeting.
No, he didn't. Say
Where
that.
is that?
That's
The
not true.
one that took place in Chisozi, because I was there.
That's
No,
not
the
true.
one of Jesus was a coffee.
Uh-huh.
In the last parliament, Mr. Museveni presented through his technical staff a supplementary budget of about 46 billion to go for the same tours promoting Operation Wealth Creation. Tinkasimire, you are an intelligent man. If for all the years you are preaching something and it's only you who understands it, you must know there is a problem. That time, you remember the tours, he would meet councillors, meet everybody, he gives them money. The councillors for Wakiso and Kampala, he met them in Rugogo. And each was given 300,000, including opposition councillors. Once they heard there was money, they also went. So every program you bring, you are the only one who understands it. until it fails, and then you rename it and go on the same tours. Really, you don't have to be intelligent to know that Museveni is campaigning. The last election, after going around giving money, because I've told you he came to demand for supplementary budget of 46, and you're in parliament and you know it. After that, of course, the Almighty sent COVID and Museveni celebrated. He had finished his campaign. Then he said, no campaign, now use the radio, now use what? I can tell you, when he is done with this sort of campaign, you wait. When the real campaign starts, Museveni will announce M-Pox. He will say no gathering, you know what? Everybody will go on radio. So these particular tours have nothing to do with transformation. Because if you have a 5-year term, you've done almost 3.5 years. Is that the time to go and preach?
Yes.
Because you should begin. That program should have started day one. Say that now you go for assessment. But Tinkasimid has told you he wants
is
people.
That the only thing
He wants people to understand.
A question someone will ask: is that the only thing he has to do as a president? He has so many other things to do.
Did he have to do it at all? Go in the budget. What is in the budget? You have a budget of 72 trillion. The sector of agriculture has about 1.5, if I'm not mistaken. And then he will tell you that everything about agriculture, these MPs who distribute seedlings and seeds, they were complaining, and he said, no, now the seeds have gone to the farmers through PDM. So you mean where seeds have gone to farmers through PDM, Museveni is going there to teach them how to plant? That's what Museveni is coming to do to your constituency.
No.
Because
Charles,
that is his biggest contribution. He says now.
Just hold it a moment. Let's give this show some context.
Charles.
Hajat, before I come back to you,
Yes.
let me first go to your colleague Aisha Kabanda. Your president is also doing tours across the country. What is he mobilizing for? What is he promoting?
Okay, before I go to that, there's something I'd like to respond to. President Museveni and the whole of his NRM, they have a way that they want to depict their opponents. When they go out and campaign, it's like they don't have anything sensible to tell people. Now when Bobby Wine goes out, he's gone as an artist, and people are coming to see him as an artist. Okay, not because they like him as a politician. And I'm like, how I wish they would give him an opportunity to go as an artist. Then they would see what he's capable of doing. I would like to inform Honorable Barnabas and his colleague that in 1980, when President Museveni went to campaign, people would go to see him as a joker, by the way. They wanted to look at, some of them were calling him some Mnyarwanda, some young man with a funny English accent, and that would attract people who would like to go and see him, okay? But as he went there, some people believed in him. Unlike President Museveni, for some time, Bobby Wine had music that was speaking to the nerve of the people's calling. Things that people thought they were very, very important to them. They can dismiss him as they wish, but he gave them a run for their money in the last elections, to the extent that President Museveni had to come out and say that he rigged his elections. You recall in 2006, and you know President Museveni has a lot of ego. He doesn't want to accept challenge. 2006, when President Museveni lost a big part of Buganda to DP, and in Kampala particularly, he said DP cheated him. Even the last elections, he said NUP cheated him, okay? I want to tell them that they can dismiss Bobby Wine as they wish, okay? But NRM rigging is become part of their DNA. Even where there is no opposition, I want to tell you, he has told you, even where there was no opposition, where you think there's no opposition, they will critique for people. We have testimonies of people who said in the previous elections, not only the previous one, but even the elections that happened before, that they would go to elect and they find when people had already voted for them. By 10 o'clock, you'd find that in many polling stations in Ankwale sub-region, you'd find that everybody has voted, okay? So rigging is part of the DNA of NRM now, that even where no one is opposing them, Honorable Samuju rightly said it, you see how the NRM primaries are so full of vote rigging. They fight each other, they borrow stuff, they bribe, they do everything.
I am honorable.
So the point I'm dismissing, number one, is for them to say that because in Kisoro everyone was NRM, there's no rigging. I want to say that the ego of President Museveni actually, and the NRM, they feel very bad finding a percentage of NRM votes from the opposition, however minute they could be, okay? Why they stuff boxes, even when they know they will win, is because they want to make the opposition votes so negligible that you cannot argue that you have numbers there, okay?
I and Honorable Semuju work in the media, and we know what it means if focus is on one person, especially in this case, your opponent. I did ask about your candidates, your party presidents on mobilization tours. What exactly is he doing?
But do you know how many times we have attempted to go to the field and we've been stopped?
You are in the field now?
Yes,
You've been moving?
We are in the field now.
You haven't been stopped yet?
We are in the field now, and this is the third attempt. We tried first time, we are stopped midway. way. We tried the second time, we are stopped midway. way. We now don't know what is going to happen, okay? But if President Museveni is going out and non-registered organizations are here, some groups led by the first son, they all go out, everyone is going out. What do you expect of registered parties whose role is to mobilize, sensitize, educate, and recruit? Okay? I won't be surprised that they'll find a reason at any point in time.
Before they find the reason, Honorable Aisha Kabanda, could you start with the basics? You've unleashed your party president. He's moving the countryside. What is he doing?
The president is mobilizing.
Where is he moving?
No, the president. The first lane of our moving out, we are simply opening up our offices. We are stopped. So as we go, we open up offices where they aren't. We launch our party structures where we have established them. We mobilize people. We recruit for the party, okay? And we sensitize people. It is our mandate as a political party to sensitize people to their civic rights. You remember we've been telling in the previous elections, we said to people, go and register. Please register, nominate. Now around this time, the whole people do not know probably that they're even registering school children. There's a registration campaign that is going on. Many people do not know. So what are we doing? We are within our core mandate as a political party to keep down the people, with the people, to mobilize, to sensitize, to recruit, but also to cause awareness about things that are going on.
You are preparing for 2026, are you not?
We must be preparing all throughout because we want to take over this government.
Specifically now, you've designed this particular tours to hit the road early. You're learning from your main opponent, President Yoweri Museveni. You're also hitting the road early, are you?
We are not hitting the road early. We're actually late. I've told you we've tried severally and we've been stopped. We are late. So many things on our calendar should have been done earlier. We didn't do them, okay? We are supposed to be in the field to tell people to keep the government in check. For every action that government does, we're supposed to keep government in check. Sensitize people, tell them how good or bad the policies are and what would be the alternative. And that's what we are doing. So we are within our core mandate as a political party to sensitize the public, okay, about what this government that took over their power forcefully, what they are doing with their power. That's what we are doing.
So you haven't talked about your candidates.
When you go to market your candidates, you even align them. You align them, you show them to the people, but there's nothing wrong to tell people that we can do things better. Okay? What Museveni has done wrong, we could have done it differently. There's nothing wrong with that, and we are doing that.
Do you see yourselves
There's nothing wrong telling people that this government is all corrupt. They've stolen every penny. They've misappropriated their funds. They've made the wrong decisions.
Aisha Kabanda, do you see yourselves as NUP fielding a different candidate apart from Bobi Wine in 2026?
Why not? We're a political party that has structures. We're a political party that has structures. Which structure will sit in the right time and choose the candidates. If some other person comes and competes and offers himself and the party structure is the person, then we shall have that candidate. So as of now, actually, we don't have a candidate for 2026.
Hajat Medina, you've been itching to come in.
Yes, I think let me start with the rigging allegations. Instead,
want to defend
we
yourself.
are rigged by the opposition. In Honorable Semuju's Chira in 2021, all the president's agents were chased by the opposition. But again, you ask them, how would we have Honorable Semuju
I can
Nganda,
forgive
MP
Tinkasi, you are Muslim, you cannot lie.
of Chira
In our
municipality?
faith, there is no
Why
lying.
would we have him? Why would we have Honorable Aisha from the PL, what is the party?
Don't worry about it.
And then we also have Honorable Semuju from the FDC. Why would we have them winning if there was rigging? They keep throwing these stories, but they are the very people who actually
How did
always show
Museveni
up.
win, yet he said he
No,
was
but
rigged?
how do you win if we rig? How do
No,
you win?
Museveni said he
you
was
from
rigged.
the
How did he
opposition.
win?
You see-
But Charles, let
You
me
see,
go to the main
Tabosh is
issues.
asking, you're asking questions,
Let
then
me
you
go to the
receive the
issues.
answers. In December 1980,
Let me go to the issues.
DP,
You had your time.
DP registered 67.
Charles?
I mean, I think they had 68, 67 MPs. UPC had about 70 something. But Museveni went to Wero to fight.
UPM had one.
It is not that all the seats in Uganda were won by UPC. And rigging doesn't mean that you rig everywhere.
For us, we have evidence
proceed.
that we were rigged by the opposition. In fact, in the last election, they did. And we have evidence. Two, Charles, you asked a
You're
question
even
whether
ashamed saying
whether
that
the
on
president-
Could
TV.
you please let her make a
whether
point?
the wealth creation those tours is making, whether there's any progress. The president has, this is not the first time he's touring the
argument,
country.
Madam Medina, is that the accusation is that they are disguised campaigns by the president.
Not at all. And that's what I'm explaining now, that this is not the first time that the president is touring the country. I remember, if I remember well, because I was young, either in the early 90s, the president did a tour and raising awareness about the scourge of HIV/AIDS. The president, I have seen several times moving, touring this country, talking about wealth creation, talking about, you remember the Vonaba Gagawale, the progress for all. I remember the president in all, throughout his term of campaigns, he has been moving around, talking to Ugandans, interacting with the people. But again, the issue is this. In 2021, we, the NRM, came up with a manifesto, which we sold to Ugandans, we marketed, and Ugandans bought our manifesto, and we are voted into power. So one of the key things that came out of that manifesto was the parish development model, which the implementation actually started by 2023. That's when much of the money was sent out to parishes across the country. As I speak, out of over 10,700 parishes in Uganda, money has been sent to over 10,500 parishes. About 100 and something, less than 200 parishes haven't received that money. So what is the president doing? One is to go to his people, interact with them, find out whether actually what is being told is what is happening on the ground. And I think there's nothing wrong with the president doing that. But also from the recent visits, we've seen that there are stories, there are progress, success stories that are coming out. Recently in Bukedi, I was watching in Chibuku, where the president visited a farmer, one Florence, I've forgotten the other name, a lady called Florence, who received 1 million from the PDM. She went and bought 2 sows and a boa. Sows are female pigs. My brother Semuju will forgive me, but I'm also an agriculturist, so it's okay to have those names given in a way that people understand. So she bought 2 pigs and a male, 2 female pigs and a male pig. Now, out of that, she was able to get 10 piglets. She sold the 10 piglets. She sold the 6 and at 100,000 each and got 600,000. The 600,000, she bought some supplements for the remaining pigs, the 6, the 3 piglets and the 2 female mother pigs and the boa. And the balance, she bought turkeys. And at the point the president visited her, she already had 34 adult turkeys. and she had already, again, another batch of 10 pigs. So when we looked at the Chibalo, or the mathematics, she was destined to earn between 1 million to 1.2 million per month, 6 months from now. That is one. Another example was a prominent farmer from...
that's money from PDM?
Yes, from PDM. From PDM. Yes, and she received the money in 2023. It is over a year ago. So what I'm telling you is that the president wants to interact with these people, but also be able to establish whether what he's being told is what is happening. Remember, one of the key things we also highlighted in our manifesto was elimination of corruption, and the president has come hard on it. And we've seen recently, again, on this very program, very many parish chiefs that have been either paraded before courts of law or others dismissed. And so for me, I don't think the president is in an early campaign. Honorable, all of you here, your members of parliament except me, I don't think there's any problem with any of you going to your constituency, visiting your people, finding out what you promised to them, whether what you promised them is what you are doing, or actually finding out their challenges. So I think the president is in order to do that. Except for the opposition. Except for the opposition.
Is it possible to draw a line between when the president is doing his presidential work or when he is doing work as a candidate, expecting to be on the ballot in 2026?
We know that there's always a specific period within which every person who offers himself or herself for any elective office is supposed to be on the ground campaigning. Certainly, this is not the time. The National Electoral Commission, according to their roadmap, within the period now that the president is in the field is not actually one of those that has been marked out as an electoral period. And like I said, I wouldn't see any problem with Honorable Semujunganda going to Chira, interacting with his people. I saw one Musisi who says he wants to challenge him. I don't think he should come up and say, why is the Honorable Semuju doing that? I think it is in order for any leader to do that. And most importantly, I think for the person of the president, it is very important to Ugandans to see that the person they voted for is near them, but also is following through what he promised to them.
Let's take a break and pick up this conversation in a moment.
Frontline.
No, you're still watching the Frontline. You're still watching the Frontline on NBS TV, and we're talking about early tours by leading contenders. The one for the National Unity Platform, Robert Senta Muchagulanyi, came second in the last election. He says his vote was rigged. And Yoweri Museveni, candidate for the National Resistance Movement, who's been president for quite some time now, who have hit the
four
the
decades,
road.
not some time. That's not a number. 4 decades.
4 decades.
Yes.
38 years going on to 39.
Yeah, so
You
we
know,
begin
next year.
counting.
Just let me conclude.
Yes. Before you conclude, just to remind our viewers that we're still following closely the by-election for Kisoro District Woman Member of Parliament, and as soon as we have results coming from there, we will break broadcasting here to bring you that update when that happens. But if you want to follow the election closely, Afro Mobile is giving a minute-by-minute update on what is going on in Kisoro right now. So you can check it out as you watch this show. I have a few viewers who are sending some messages. Let me just read a couple. Ken Mutenyo is watching us and says, the president's tours should not raise any hula baloo because he is a politician. Likewise, politicians in the opposition side should do the same. The problem to be discussed and a solution found is why some security people block the opposition. Campaigning for the next elections starts immediately after announcing results of an election. That's a message from Ken Mutenyo. Arali BMRM, yes, says, I find it shameful for the government in power to keep saying they were rigged in Kampala. it means they are not in control. Yet the government controls every organ, electoral commission, security, etc. That Medina and Barnabas, how can you be saying that you're rigged when you're in charge?
Your ardent viewer and listener, Imam
We've got to
Kasso's
accept.
is
Charles.
wondering whether Medina
Charles.
actually made any
Just a minute,
prayers.
she's giving us some
Yes.
information. Yes, there is
Imam
another.
Kasso's is a viewer, an ardent listener and viewer of this program.
There is another one.
He's wondering whether Medina made any prayers.
Go to Barakamiru, Medina. Medina is a serious Muslim.
He's saying someone to be lying like that, a Muslim person to be lying like that.
It's very painful.
Does she actually pray? I'm giving feedback. He's wondering whether
Well,
actually
if-
Medina
I
prays.
don't know if
I
Medina
don't know what
wouldn't
he
turn back
means
and
by
say-
lies, because he would be the one lying, because he doesn't maybe understand.
You are alleging that he has capacity of taking M7's agents from
Yes,
the
they're
polling
just
station.
our agents, and
That's
why
a
would
very
I lie
serious
about
lie.
that?
No
James
one can
Salemi-
believe
In
you.
Chiboga they did. here
James
in
Salemi
Chira they
says,
did.
I am happy today the show is well balanced as far as gender is concerned. NRM without President Museveni is like a car without a driver, while NUP without Bobby Wine is like a car that has run out of fuel. James Salemi, ardent follower of the show. Yes, Hajat Medina.
So, Charles, what I wanted to say is that you asked a question earlier, that is this campaign that the president, the wealth creation campaign that the president has been involved in for some time now, is it, are we seeing results? I think yes. We wouldn't be talking about 61% of Ugandans who are now in the money economy. And what the president is now doing is actually to ensure that we push the 39% that are in subsistency into the money economy. But also what I wanted to highlight to our brothers in the opposition is that everything the president does is not good enough. When he's not visiting his people, they are asking, where is the president? What is he doing? When he decides to move out and
For us, we are
interact
not
with these
asking,
people,
we
it
don't
is an
actually
issue.
want to see them.
But actually, they are now copying the president. That's why you see Bobby Wine is also jumping up and down, trying to do the same. And you ask my sister several times, what is their tour about? They will never tell you, because it is not issue-based. It is just following what President Museveni is doing, and also wanting to be seen that they are doing that. Why, you asked why now? Why are we doing the tour now? I think I told you the focus now is on the PDM, mainly the PDM, though there are other government programs like the MIOGA, the Youth Livelihood Fund. Previously we had the OWC, the NADS, which are also being monitored by the president in his wealth creation campaign. However, the focus on the PDM, he wouldn't come in 2021 before we've given out any money. He could not come out in 2022 when we had not given out any substantial amount to Ugandans. So the first rollout of large sums of money was by 2023. And as I speak, we've given out, the NRM government has given out close to 2.4 trillion in terms of the parish development model money to the parish circles. And so we had to give some time to be able to gauge progress. We would,
Is this work being managed by the Office of the President, or is it being managed by the Secretariat?
This is a program of the president as the president of Uganda. That's why I told you that he is not campaigning, because when it's campaigning, it will be a presidential candidate whose program will be entirely managed by the party. But as we speak, the program is entirely managed by government.
Barnabas Tinkasimina, let me come to you.
Before Barnabas comes in, I imagine
But
they
you have
needed...
also spoken too much,
No,
Aisha.
I have not commented on the president's tours. I haven't.
No,
And
no,
everybody,
I-
each one of
no,
them
you have
has.
had your time.
No, I
About-
haven't.
We're not just talking about
The
President
difference
Museveni.
is
They don't have an
Hold on a
agenda.
moment, Honorable
Mamusha,
Kabanda.
the
They
difference
don't
that
have
they
an
attacked,
agenda.
they attacked my president. That's when I came in to explain.
Yes,
There is
we're
no
not
agenda.
just
But
talking
each
about.
one of them has commented on the tours of the President and I have not.
No,
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 you
we're
have
not just
spoken
talking
a number
about.
of times.
They asked you, you didn't respond.
A number of times,
The
and
framing
you
of the
decided
discussion
to use it
is
to
that
do other
we're
things.
looking at the tours of political party leaders. You have one of your leader. You have your leader moving the country, and I did ask you questions about that. not just President himself.
And I asked you to allow me use a few minutes, respond
Yes.
to the allegations
You
they
would
had
have
made
your time.
about
You would have
my
your time.
president.
May I take
you-
my
you
turn,
allow
Charles?
Me also, because I didn't come to watch them, may you allow me also to make a comment on President Museveni's tours?
In fairness, I gave you the time. You decided to use it the way you
No,
wanted
I
to use
asked you to allow me.
Hold it a moment. Let me come
Will
back
they
to you.
attack my part and my president? I keep quiet.
let me
You would
come
have
back
the
to you.
At least I
time.
was decent to listen.
You
as
would
they
have
were
the time
speaking.
to respond.
Let me come back to you in a moment. Let me first
Continue
put this question
listening
to-
because I am here. You will not listen to
Barnabas,
every
I know you
attack.
are worried because the president is coming to your constituency tomorrow and you fear him. That's here you are flaring like you had never.
I don't fear him.
You do.
He's my president.
You are different.
Why
you are
would I-
different Barnabas that I was with
Why,
last time.
why
She
would
also
I?
fears
Why
her
would I?
president. That's why she
Why
wants
would
to
I
defend
fear
him.
my party chairman?
She fears her president. That's why she wants to defend him.
For me,
Hold it a moment. Let's give an opportunity and then I'll come to you in a moment.
okay, let her take the opportunity. We'll
Thank
see.
you. Thank you so much. For me, I am not worried of President Museveni's tours. So it's wrong for her to allege that the opposition does not want Museveni to move out. Okay? President Museveni has been walking out all the time, and people know he has nothing else to add to the population. What he has said, he has already said. This PDM program would have been helpful to people if President Museveni was good enough to listen to the voices of the representative in parliament, because members of parliament spoke to Museveni to advise them on what they needed to do best. But he was very, very adamant. You cannot send the same amount of money to parishes with very big population as those with very small population. Okay?
You're in parliament.
These
That's
are
your
things.
role.
No, your president refused to listen to these voices, and that's why I'm talking about it.
The
okay?
president doesn't sit
Let
in
me
the
tell
parliament.
you, some of us that have studied economics, you know, President Museveni has a prime minister there, doesn't he? Some of us that have studied economics, we know which money you can give to people and it helps them substantially economically, okay? Not just handouts. As she mentions, people who went...
What would you do differently if you were in charge?
Yes, exactly what I want to talk about. You can't simply talk of giving money and then they go and do pigs and do what, and you say, now they've been able to come out of the poverty line, okay? Do you know, does she know, what would we have done differently? First of all, let me tell you that our people spend a lot of money for health. Last week, I met someone who spends 1.2 million shillings. He's a prostate cancer victim. He spends 1.2 million shillings monthly. In an economy, a country like ours, where there are no drugs and every poor person has to spend money, tell me how your 6 pigs will help this person to get out of the poverty line. Okay? I just helped my aunt to undergo an operation in Roharo Hospital. She's still there. We have spent more than a government hospital. We have spent more than 1 million shillings to operate her eyes. Imagine a poor person does not have a daughter like Aisha who will help her to meet this bill. A government that is responsible enough and would like to help its people come out of poverty. First, what do? You make sure the first line services that people cannot do without, they can access them. Okay? Make sure there is their health, their health facilities are functional.
You're a member of
You
parliament.
ask what would we have done differently?
You're a member of parliament. What have you done?
I have said this thing in your parliament, but this parliament
It is
is
not your parliament. It
Charles,
is you.
since we are 4 on the show,
So the money they
she
give
can,
to people,
she can buy her own airtime
Let me summarize
and
this.
come for 2 hours and talk.
Can they
But
weigh
in
how
the
much time
circumstances
they use?
where all of
The
us
money-
are,
the money they give to people as
please
handouts,
make sure that
they
all
use
of us
them for
speak.
wedding.
Do
People
you
use
have an
this money for
agenda? Do
wedding.
you have an agenda that you're selling to the public when your party president is doing national
we
tours?
exactly
There's no
do
agenda.
have an agenda.
What is that?
When we mean health services for all. We don't need health services for some people. Where Barnabas gets sick and we expatriate, we take him outside for treatment. Okay? The first thing to do, I've told you, make sure that the basic services are there free for people.
As a member of
Health
parliament,
is free.
As a member of parliament, don't you have the same privileges as Barnabas has?
But have I argued that I want her to be excluded of the privileges? I don't want to get the privileges while the rest of my relatives cannot get them.
think Honorable
Not even my children. Let me tell you, Parliament.
I think you're telling us that you failed
Parliament
in your
only
role.
gives me access to 5 people, by the way. Parliament of Uganda can only support me plus 5. That is me, my husband, and 4. I told you everyone knows, if you can check, that I have 10 children. Where do the other 5 children go, if I may ask? Where do my parents go? So I need a government that will take care of, first of all, the first best line services, the basic needs that everyone wants. Don't tell me handouts that go to people while the services I need cannot be taken care of with handouts.
Thank you. Barnabas, let me come back to you.
Honorable is telling us she has
I would want her to listen.
The
thing I like about Honorable Semoju, he listens a lot.
Let me put a question to Barnabas Tinkasimene. The many observers who say you got quite a pushback as a party in the last election, and you're feeling the pressure, and you're trying to respond to that pressure. You saw the crowds that turned out for Bobi Wine in Kisoro. They have a candidate which would have been unimaginable a few years ago. You saw what happened in other by-elections, both for this term and the previous term, that the opposition seems to be making inroads, even in traditional NRM strongholds, and that your party chairman is responding to those pressures.
No, I have told you we are ready for a showdown. We are not cowards. I agree, because we have seen particularly the young people trying to say they will support Bobi Wine. And we are also saying we have an agenda. That's why we are here. And we are refusing Honorable Aisha Kabanda to confuse our viewers that for them, when they come into power, they will concentrate on health services. What are you trying to kill a population like Uganda? No, we have a vision as NRM. Our vision is to truly transform the ordinary person. Why the president is going on the ground is to make sure that he builds capacity in the ordinary man to have a decent house, to have that capacity to have sufficient food at home. You know that food is the first medicine. 3, to have a capacity, even in the circumstance, because we have established these health centers, schools, but the president is asking, why are these children not remaining in these schools? The parent, according to the Constitution of the Republic of Uganda, Article 34, a parent has a responsibility to raise their children. He must participate, and the participation is in at least dressing the child. If he has no money to dress the child, that child will not go to school. That's why the president is saying, no, the parent, you are complaining you don't have some small money. The money is here. Carry on. We are saying the president is down to mobilize people to have a capacity, to have money. In case they feel sick, they can be able to treat themselves.
Yes.
The health system,
yes.
The health system here and even in the entire world, the disease she's talking about, the prostate cancer, there is no government that treats it. All the people, even first world countries, it is the family that carries the burden. Even in US, where they have advanced insurance system, health insurance system, it is the family that has, because the insurers cannot carry the cost. And if you are going to have that population that cannot carry that cost, and you say, I am providing health centers. No, you must make sure that on top of the health centers, you mobilize your people to have that capacity to carry on that extra responsibility. And developing this country is not for President Museveni alone. It's for all its citizens. The president is doing what is right. Even when you have a child at home and a child has started walking, you will not just say, since the child has started walking, I will not see how he's walking. No. You see where he can fall on a stair. And we have had such cases. There are people who are in this venture successfully, and there are those ones who have failed to make it. They have met maybe a hailstorm, a disaster, and he's checking what is going on. For me, that's proper and fitting. If you want to call it a campaign, okay, you also organize yours, and we see what you are going to organize. You will organize a caricature of a program and we will beat you hands down. That's why I have told them that we are ready for a showdown.
Is the president in your constituency on your invitation or his own program?
He's the president of the Republic of Uganda.
Yes.
He is going there to see his people. It is not my invitation. He's going to see his people. He has a program. He has an agenda. I have told you. He has an agenda. He has an agenda. And where things may not be going well, he has to ask questions.
What do you see? How do you see the landscape shaping for 2026 from where you sit?
Certainly. That's why I've told you that what I see, I am not worried. Whether we leave Bob Wine to walk anywhere in the countryside with no agenda, the people will know that he has no agenda. They will get very excited. We will vote and we will win.
George Muhimbis is watching us.
Uganda, by the way, for the record, Honorable Aisha Kabanda, Honorable Semuju, and myself must know that this is Uganda, not USA.
What does that mean?
And what do you insinuate?
Not USA.
What does that mean?
Our democracy is still young, is being developed. And the president has done what he can do.
Has had 40 years.
Okay.
Yes, he has done. 40 years is not an equivalent of US's democracy of 260 years old.
George Muhimbis is watching us and says, parish development model stands on 7 pillars: production, storage, processing and marketing, infrastructure and economic services, financial inclusion, social services, mindset change, parish-based management information system, governance and administration. Of all these pillars, we only see financial inclusion. We don't see any mindset change program or any of the other pillars. So it's dead on arrival. Secondly, besides early campaigns, the president is simply doing some sort of tourism, but not an assessment of a government program. For example, what tools of assessment is he using? What is his sample size? What is his sampling procedure? How is he arriving at a sample, for example? If 500 people received PDM money in a specific sub-county and they show him 2 farmers who are better off, would that be enough sample size to conclude that the program is successful? How sure are we that the president is not being duped? Government should rather allocate money to agencies like National Planning Authority to do a technical assessment other than this politicking. I think it's a waste of our resources. George Muhimbese.
Development is not academic. Those things of saying that there should be a particular mindset.
No, he's reading a concept of.
Yes, he is. He is.
He
is. But he thinks that there is no mindset change going on.
Okay.
I want to give you an example. When the president goes on the podium and he says, start going to the garden with the mathematics, what is he doing? He's telling people, stop going to the garden and just plant without putting mathematics. He's doing mindset change. He's doing mindset change. And he's telling people, make sure that you use irrigation in the circumstances that you have dry spells. Add manure. That is mindset change. He's telling people the other system of long ago cannot work anymore.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
Hey, you are disturbed, because your theory.
No, I can argue out that. Let me tell you.
Hold it a moment.
By the way, those things were right from the Bonabaga Gore program 10 years back. And nothing's been achieved.
No, we are still the ones in charge. We are still the ones in charge. If you want, you will baptize it your name, but as of now, we can call it Bonaga Bagagawale, Parish Development Model, Emioga, and any other name. That's what we prefer.
Can I take some of these messages?
If you want to contribute to the naming, come to NRM.
Can I take this message? Kachumita says, Uganda is sweet and sour. It all depends on which side you fall. All in all, as a responsible citizen, I aspire to see policy leaning to the majority poor. Thank you. This is a message. We wish to know from MPs the fate of the National Health Insurance Scheme bill. If the scheme was in place, Honorable Aisha Kabanda's mother would benefit without Aisha having to foot the bills. This is a message from Ambassador Richard Nduhura. Your members of parliament, I have 3 here. Can you quickly respond to this? Starting with you, Honorable Commander.
No, they can speak about the National Health Insurance Policy. It started during the I wasn't there. Since I went to Parliament, hasn't come. And as a private member of as a member of Parliament, I cannot bring a bill that has financial implications. He knows. Government started it and dropped it underway. But I would like to remind my colleague that the principles the listener enumerated there are not his own principles. They're embedded within the policy when it was brought by government. And I want to tell you, none of other things has been done except the financial element. I think because within them, a lot of money that is appropriated, part of it goes to pockets of private independent people. Just 1 second, if that policy had been, and Uganda is full of very good policies that are never implemented, if that policy had been implemented the way it is, let me tell you, nothing will help people if we don't provide market for what they produce. They produce lots of things, but there's no market for them. There are no storage facilities, okay? Other than for us splashing money here and there. It's, by the way, for her information, it has not just started 2 years back. It is simply changing names. These names have changed from Entandikwa to Banabagagawale to so many other things, but it's the same policy. Can we see us having other things that will help the people to come out of this poverty? If you need to boost production, make sure the marketing is clear, make sure there are storage facilities, improve on the transportation, the cooling system should be there. They will have helped people.
Thank you.
But even what Salim Saleh started, I remember, Afonde Salim Saleh started a program in his area. Was it Munkekera, something like that? I saw big coolants, very big vehicles, where they were going to buy supplies from people, tomatoes, pineapple. That would have been a good thing. I don't know how it collapsed. We thought it was going to start from there and then spread over the whole country. It ended with him and his area.
Have you been
to
Kapeka?
NRM is, I went there when I was RDC and ended that time. NRM just lies people onto good policies and stops there. And the rest of the thing what they do is politicking.
Okay. Someone here says, but how are you going to separate the visit made by Museveni as a president from those when he is an aspirant to be? Honorable Semu Jungana, I want to come to you. Where are your leaders? Where are they mobilizing?
Mobilizing for what?
I am asking you. Where are they? What are they mobilizing?
If this is in disarray.
You see, I want to go back to what Museveni wrote in one of his books. I don't know what has excited Tinka Simile today.
The president's visit.
The one that I know I have been with in Parliament is completely different from the one who is now. I'm trying to find a word that would be polite. Museveni in his book said, what is Africa's problems? The issues that Tinka Simile was talking about yesterday, today Tinka Simile is singing PDM. We need to resolve these issues. When I had an opportunity for a debate with Museveni, I told him, and forgive me for repeating myself, I told him the trouble with Uganda is that at the beginning of his administration, Uganda was the project. Along the way, Museveni became the project. I was here on a NBS morning program, responding to many of the letters he has written, quarreling that the amount of money we are spending, particularly on coffee, it is money we should be using for road construction, etc. I give very small examples. We pass a budget, the three of us. In this year's budget, Museveni has 150 billion for donation. And the money for coffee, which he says now is a wastage, is just 40 billion. The reason I told him...
So how many roads are he donating out?
The reason I told him he had become the project and not the country is because of where we direct our investment. And it doesn't matter how many people you hire to go on radio and TV and sing PDM. Look, We have an economy that is almost collapsing. We have passed a budget of 72 trillion. The money that URA will collect this year, the projection is 32. We have a debt to service of 34 trillion, which has become the number one item in our budget, debt servicing. And we were in Parliament. Our argument was on where we are investing in workshops, 300 billion, buying fuel, 300 billion, buying vehicles, transport alone, we are spending 750 billion. So when we make this argument, and then you're asking me what is your agenda, even if I don't have an agenda, if I hired a Makerere lecturer, in 2 days he will give me the programs that you're talking about. So that isn't such a difficult thing to do. Even Museveni, when he went to Luweero, what was his agenda to fight? He went to the one agenda that they had rigged the election, he went to remove Obote. And then for the next 5 years, he was killing people to come into power. Then they finalized the NRM 10-point program in Irubiri. So really, we should stop being academic. You're talking about people's lives. The trouble that we need to deal with, because you see, I have said this and the risk of repeating myself. Countries that go to war, it is not because they lack the infrastructure. Sudan, Khartoum, at the time of independence, the only city in Europe that was better than Khartoum was London. Khartoum was better than all these Brussels. It is now up in flames. Why? They have failed to deal with governance issues. For me, that's the contribution I want to make. The moment you've sorted out governance issues and you are certain of tomorrow, tell me, Tinkasimire.
How do you sort out
tell
governance
me,
issues?
Tinkasimire, which investor, with the exception of the fortune hunter, will bring 100, 200 million US dollar into a country whose future that investor cannot guarantee? Because you don't know whether the son will be the president tomorrow, whether the wife, whether the brother, whether what. Until we've dealt with those issues, then these issues of distribution.
How do you deal with those issues, Honorable Semu Chunganda, when you as a member, a ranking member of the opposition, keeps focus on President Yoweri Museveni instead of your own plans as an opposition member?
In every country,
to articulate
in
how
every
you think
country, in every
you can
country
take power.
where you have a strong man holding the state and he actually becomes the state, you will be speaking about the same person, the same way Kenyans we are speaking about Moi. The same way.
And what did they do about it? How were they able to get Moi out?
Of course, you had a lot of players involved in bringing an end to Moi's era. You had a lot of players who discussed the end and participated, discussing Kamuzu Banda, to J. Rawlings, to all those strong men where they have existed. In fact, for me, my worry now is not how many people are going to get out of poverty tomorrow, but plunging this country into uncertainty. Sudan is fighting. Sudan, both of them are fighting.
You can give the example of Sudan fighting. Hold it a moment.
Yes.
You can give the example of Sudan fighting, but someone will give an example and say, a political party in Botswana was in power for 56 years. An opposition member was able to get it out of power.
Yeah.
You could talk about the struggles of politicians in Senegal, for example. You could talk about Ghana. You could talk about other examples. Why would you choose the other examples? And as a journalist, as a former journalist yourself, you know that the number of mentions of President Museveni in the last 1.5 hours we have been on air actually promotes him more than mobilizes people
so after promoting
towards his those who are challenging him.
Is that the reason he picks guns
No,
during the
I'm
election?
asking you.
I am also asking you.
Yes.
So when we promote him
the
here
question
and I mention his
angry.
name 100 times, is that the reason he picks guns to shoot at his opponents?
You lose the opportunity.
We went in the last elections.
Don't you lose the opportunity?
I was in charge of the FDC elections, including nomination. Did I take a candidate for nomination?
Don't you lose
there
the opportunity?
There is no opportunity. Charles, we can pretend
to sell your own program.
We can, no.
To market your own.
In Uganda, it is not programs competing. In Uganda,
How
you
do
go,
you
you
get
go for,
programs to compete?
you go in any election where it is guns against citizens.
How do you get
children
programs to compete?
who were arrested in the last elections
They're still
are
in
being
jails.
forced to confess to crimes they have
Yeah.
not committed for them to be
How
released.
do you get programs
Those
to
are the
compete?
issues you deal with. The moment you are
Tell
done
them
with
about
governance
poverty
issues and the rule of law, then you can discuss distribution of seedlings, PDM, who gets from poverty. Countries are up in flame just because they have failed governance issues. That's the matter for which I and Tinkasim and many MPs have been key players in Parliament. I am surprised that Tinkasim today is focusing on mango and beans and how we say,
No. But I am quite honest
until
to the people that we lead.
Until
You are not going to keep leading proletariats and mobilizing them to into protests.
Until you have,
you need to have people who have an agenda. That, for instance, King Kalisa has a stake when he's discussing on matters of the stability of this country. He knows he has invested in this country.
And then you said you wanted to identify the people who are earning 3 million per year. As
we said 20 million.
You did not find them.
20 million.
So
we were very, very honest.
Have they fallen from heaven like rain?
Let's take a break and pick this
that's
conversation
a long
up in a
time
moment.
ago. That's a long time ago during the time of Bonap.
Let's pick this conversation up.
NBS Frontline.
Welcome back to the Frontline on NBS TV. We're discussing political parties on tour of the country ahead of the 2026 elections. Bobby Wine, leader of the National Unity Platform, has been touring the country, has a longer program. The Honorable Aisha Kabanda here says he's made 3 attempts. This is the 3rd attempt. He's already been on tour before. Okoror Collins is watching us and says, ask the NUP lady, what is the party ideology of NUP that they are selling to the people on their tours? I have a message here from Chigozi Siraj who says, Honorable Nganda, can't we have one political party to compete in the forthcoming presidential election in 2026?
One
Chigozi
party
Siraj, yes.
compete against M7 or just one party of M7?
One party, I think the opposition working together. I think that's my interpretation. Tugume Robert Kashija, former RDC, says, with all due respect, Honorable Aisha Kabana needs more of ideological orientation classes because she seems to be still navigating the political landscape to identify where it is more convenient for her. Aisha, during her tenure as RDC from 2014 to 2016, used the same tone to castigate the opposition. And when she lost an election in 2016 on the NRM ticket, that is when she remembered that NRM is bad. When NUP picked some scattered strength in Buganda, Aisha spotted an opportunity to go to Parliament, and should NUP lose its grip on Buganda, Honorable Aisha Kabanda is likely to be among the first to run away to other political parties. You have time to respond to Robert Kashija. Another viewer here says, let me see, who is here? Just trying to find, yes. Ambassador Nduhura came back and says, Honorable Tika Sime is a politician who knows which side of his bread is buttered. He's very clever. His behavior is very much in sync with preparations for his re-election in 2026. Richard Nduhura.
Which
is
the
watching.
former minister.
Eh?
The former minister.
I want to imagine so.
Yeah, he is.
This
is the ambassador.
Kelly Wanda says, thanks for the show. Ask Honorable Kabanda, PDM funds are a loan. An Honorable MP surely should be able to know that money that's paid back cannot be a handout. Is it not the role of MPs to provide oversight of government programs? Ask both Honorable Semuju and Kabanda. Do the majority of their constituents qualify to get credit from the banks, the commercial banks? Kelly Wanda is asking you those questions. Someone here says, some of us who... Okay, thank you. Yes, BRM. I don't know who this BRM is. Thank you. We want to come back to studio, and we're running short of time already. So I want to run across the table and start with Medina. from where you sit, how do you see the rest of 2026 beginning to shape? Is it beginning to take shape already?
Maybe before I go to that, I wanted to tell you that as NRM, we are anchored on party principles that guide us. One is nationalism, socio-economic transformation, patriotism, and Pan-Africanism. So whatever we do is in that line. When I listen to these brothers and sister, actually the brother and the sister who are lost, blaming Museveni all the time, I am made to wonder. But I think the reason is this, that the only manifesto they sell to their people, after failing to fulfill what they have promised as members of parliament to their constituencies, the opposition MPs, the only escape for them is to blame President Museveni for their failures, because otherwise you've seen that most of the issues they are raising here have left me wondering.
Do you even
Because
know the role of a member of parliament?
I know that a member of parliament, one of them you mentioned that they provide oversight. They're the very people who come out and cry, oh, government has done nothing. Corruption, this, corruption, that. What have they done in that regard? They are talking about peanuts, PDM, the money appropriated, but they appropriate resources. For us, we get what, as citizens of this country, whatever we get is what comes from parliament. I have never seen them disagree on how much they are getting. I've never seen Honorable Aisha Kabanda disagreeing on the money she gets for trips, which, by the way, is a lot of wastage. And when she talks about how the economy is doing badly, we are borrowing too much, but part of the wastage is also them. So they should tell Ugandans how much they appropriate to themselves as members of parliament. Coming to your question, I think as a party,
all along we hadn't started on the question.
Yes. We, as a party, we are very prepared, and we've started the preparations, because one of them is to ensure that whatever we promised Ugandans is actually fulfilled. And when we did the midterm review of the NRM manifesto, then we were at 35%, but of course we were heavily affected by COVID, and we expect that by the end of the term, we would be at over 70%. We may not be able to achieve everything, but that is enough to launch us to the next manifesto. Our previous theme was on securing the future, and we hope within this term we will have secured the future of many Ugandans. We as a party have a constitution that guides us on whatever we do. We have a party roadmap that gives us guidance on which activities we should do when. That's why you don't see us staggering like these people. You see them.
You've been marked out, and both internally, your own internal reports and assessments, and externally, that a lot of the party primaries tend to be very chaotic. Accusations of rigging, even in Kisoro, whose results we expect to get before we end this show. Even in Kisoro, you have a contestation where there is a dispute on who takes the party flag, forcing other party members to still run as independent. How are you addressing that?
Elections everywhere in the world are supposed to be free and fair, not free and excellent. And the NRM is not going to be immune to some of the challenges that come with that. But one of our biggest challenges then was the organizing elections. In the last primaries we organized were without a register, and this time around, because we came up with a new voting system of the lining up, open, transparent. However, we didn't have a register, but now we're prepared. We are actually in the final stages of ensuring that we have a clean register. And we are going to test the lining up for the first time with the register, and I'm quite sure that many of the challenges we had in 2020 in organizing the primaries will not surface. The case of Kisoro, for instance, I told you that we had about 8 contestants in the race, but out of the 8, the 2 that emerged as the strong contenders, Honorable Akifeza Grace and Honorable Kabajenyi Rose. Actually, the voting was done by lining up, yes, and also using a register. And the margin between the 2 was about 700 votes, 39,100 something, and 39,900. So the margin was very small, 700 votes, and in between the time of campaigning, anything could have happened. So that's why I told you that the race, to me, it is NRM versus NRM. But again, the period given during the by-election is so short for us to go back and maybe review the process and be able to, you know, go through all the processes that are required to, you know, deliver justice in case somebody has petitioned, because the time is too short. But we tried what we had. That is why you could see that despite all that was happening, there was harmony among those people. Even when the president came to campaign, we saw that both candidates were present, the independent and the NRM candidate. Maybe the other issue in Kisoro, which we shouldn't lose sight of, is the issue of politics of identity, which the president has constantly spoken against, that we have people aligned to given ethnicities or religious groups, and they want to use that to tear up the people. But the NRM has come strongly condemning. In fact, in one of the presidents, in the rallies recently, the president condemned and even said that if any candidate is found to have divided people along religious lines, even when she has won, she should be disqualified.
Thank you.
And we took that as a strong guidance to Ugandans, not only in Kisoro, but the rest of the country, to avoid dividing our people along those lines.
Thank you.
As NRM, we are waiting for the time when the right time for us to be able to also present our candidates to the relevant organs or those who show up, and we have a process within which candidates are presented.
Thank you. I think you used up your time. Let me go to Honorable Aisha Kabanda, then I'll finish with the gentleman. You're looking to 2026. How well prepared are you? What does the journey ahead look like?
Do you want me to answer the questions by your viewers?
I have put a question to you.
Number 1, first of all, people expect me to go defensive or explaining that probably I came to opposition by conviction, what. I want to tell you, when Prime 7 was when he witnessed rigging in 1980s, again, Semogere went to the bush. This time, Aisha did not witness rigging. She was rigged out. Okay? I was declared the loser of elections by 56, and I asked for a recount, tried all avenues until when the boxes were broken, seals of boxes were broken in the hands of government. Not mentioning all what happened.
Was that in your in the party primaries?
No, that was actually in the mainstream elections. And
The
I was
general election.
okay. Now, if Museveni went to the bush, having witnessed rigging against Museveni, against Semogere, what did you expect of Aisha having been rigged out? If you want to hear yes that I went to opposition because I got annoyed, yes I did. Okay, I am not shy about that. I was angry. Fine, you can hear that. That I was rigged out by the NRM. So I confirmed actually that they cheat in elections. I confirmed that. It is a state-designed program. It's a state design. I was helped by people in opposition who had long studied how they do things. They helped me to secure my victory. That one's closed out. On matters of ideology, whether we have an ideology or not, I was part of meetings. I think she had not even thought of joining the NRM, okay? I was part of meetings when NRM was trying to think, what is our ideology? 2005 when they are forming a party. Okay, all that time they didn't know what they were. Okay,
The NRM party was formed
Barnabas,
in 2001.
if that's what you want to
Yes,
hear. Okay,
yes.
and the questions were, what are we? They didn't know. They didn't know up to that time what they were and what they were, what they stood for. They didn't know. Okay, if President Museveni had been in politics since 1960s, as he says, and up to 2000, he didn't know what he stood for. Eh? Why do you want me to come here and say ideology? I should tell you, nobody here in Uganda votes on the basis of a party ideology. And I should also tell you that almost all parties in Uganda are professing the same ideology. Okay? If you talk about ideology...
What is that ideology that you profess?
Just wait. If you talk about matters of ideology, recently I went to prison to Chitaya to visit our boys. They are telling us, don't tell us anything, Aisha, about election hearings, vote reforms. Please tell us, when are we getting out of this place?
What is your ideology?
So do you want me to talk about party ideology at the expense of fundamental human rights? Okay? Do you want to tell me? I was there. Let me tell you, Bedina, if you don't know, I was in meetings when President Museveni was contemplating what he was standing for. In 2000, after he had disturbed this country since 1970s, he disturbed this country for only one thing that he didn't want Amin. Not because he had a different ideology from Amin, but he just didn't believe in him. Okay? So President Museveni disturbed this country since 1960s up 2000. And in 2000, he was trying to define what he stood for. Okay, what should be the aspirations? Of course, you know the ideology of NRM is Museveni, and the person who said it on air was right. And with NRM without Museveni, NRM is not there. Okay. So, do we have a party ideology? Yes, we have a party ideology. Can we articulate each matters of party or a party ideology? Yes, we can. But do you want me to call a rally and start talking about the party ideology when people are asking me about their children? They are telling me, where is Chibalama? So you want me to go and start say, okay, we are not leftists, we are rightists, we are center skewed, we stand for the masses. You want me to go and explain that? Why not asking very important questions? Where are our people? Why are our boys and girls still in prisons now where they don't have a case? Why? These are fundamental questions. That's why he told you, Semuju, and rightly so, that at this time, our sole problem is governance. Okay? Our problem is President Museveni. Until Museveni goes, by the way, and President Museveni, together with people that speaks the language he speaks, because there are several of them that think that we should live by the bar of the gun. Okay? Those who think that we should create another monarchy, from him his children should come. Until we sort out governance issues, we don't have matters of ideology to talk about. Nobody votes in this country on the basis of ideology. No one.
So even preparation to 2026?
We can prepare. We can prepare.
That's why
but between me and you, between the preparation of elections for 2026 and going to Parliament and ask questions of our boys and girls who are still held in incarceration, some of them to whom we even don't know where they are, which is the most important question.
Thank you.
Do I go and ask questions about electoral laws, or I go and ask questions about when is the release of these boys, okay, who have not had justice?
Thank you. Honorable Semuju?
Yeah.
Yes, same question, really.
What is the question?
Heading to 2026, what's your reading of the journey?
So we are under military rule. That's why Mr. Museveni, in all elections, his conduct and behavior is going to be the same. Power in Uganda is still habituated by the gun. And I want to congratulate Tinka Simile, because there are many people who thought because we are under military rule, one general should hand over to another general, this time his son. So these elections is not the only opportunity to change government. We have said that many times. Citizens have a duty. If we choose to end Museveni's rule and we commit ourselves, it is possible, like elsewhere it has been done, and it's possible. So for us, we are in the process of constructing a new platform whose duty is not just participation in the elections, but mobilizing people through civic action to make sure we cause a regime change. And once that has happened, you see, you've been rebelling, asking academic questions of ideology and policies.
Well,
You
that was a listener.
You and I, we have covered the elections. Each party, including, by the way, private candidates, independent candidates, they all have good reading manifestos, including people you can despise. They all have manifestos, they launch them. Some of the policies are the same, they are a bit of difference. I have covered rallies as a journalist. People who come to listen to candidates don't come to listen to their ideology and policies. But I also congratulate my sister. She's doing very well, because in every meeting, Museveni begins with ideology, whether it is a news conference, whether it is an NRM meeting. She has crammed those words
very well the 4 principles.
Pan-Africanism very well. I think now you will earn yourself a promotion. But that isn't the problem for Uganda. Because if you ask, even if I go on Google and pick one word and I tell you this is my ideology, in 10 minutes I'll have crammed it and I'll say it here. We want to be practical. At the moment, what is Uganda's problem? The other day you have heard Museveni's son saying you must go away, you NRM, you are this and that. And I think that's why I was congratulating Tinka Simile. He was one of those who were speaking against the monarch. So we need to deal with governance issues. We need to deal with the uncertainty that overstaying in power creates. Everybody who has done that has ended up badly, whether it is Congo, whether it is Zambia, whether it is Egypt, whether it is Sudan,
Libya.
Once we deal with that, in Ghana today they are competing on policy. That's why I haven't followed the election, but I think the opposition that won last election, they may have lost this one, or they are about to lose it.
Okay.
Because people are going to deal with the economy, they are going to deal with employment, they are going to deal with younger people without jobs.
Okay.
In Uganda, we are not yet there.
Could you use 20 seconds to comment on that note? Someone here is reminding me that I shouldn't let you go without commenting about the note that General Saleh wrote to you.
That note was,
I'm trying to dig it up here so that I can read it out for the viewer. Yeah, but go ahead.
Mr. Moses Byarahanga, who is the senior presidential advisor, but sometimes I appear with him on a radio station. He called me and said Saleh had asked him to give me that note, in which Saleh is complaining that I am tarnishing his name. I don't know that he has a name, but he claims he has one. And then later on, someone...
How do you mean he doesn't have a name? A name or a reputation or something? What?
They mean the same thing.
He said, Honorable Nganda, it's dated 13th November 2024, handwritten in a notebook, Office of the President, Operation Wealth Creation, 13th November 2024. Honorable Ibrahim Nganda, if you want to know who ate NAD's money, please check the NAD suppliers database at PPDA. Stop tarnishing my name. Otherwise, I will sue you. Signed Akandwa now.
Yes, as I said, Moses Byarahanga gave me the note. Later on, someone called Wambogo, I have been told he also works with Saleh, sent me the same note with a very threatening message of how they are going to end my life. That's what that guy was saying, called Wambogo. It didn't bother me. But the point is, the issues I said about Saleh, I'm not saying them for the first time. That the Operation Wealth Creation he heads, I'm not sure that it still exists, was irregularly and illegally created by his brother. His first action in NADS was to remove 97 billion to go and buy pickups. I don't know why he's angry with me. Let him be angry with the rest of the reports that are before Parliament. And I told him, Saleh, when we were on the same radio station, that he's lucky his brother is the president. Otherwise, Saleh would be in Ruzira. I do. So
the longer note you...
If he wants to go to court, please, we meet there.
Okay. So someone here, the longer note you're talking about, which you say is was threatening, ask some questions. So the questions to raise should be...
So you know the person?
No, he shared it.
Okay.
Yes. Have been as presented below for your own benefit and the general public. Were the billions of shillings used to purchase pickups for OWC coordinators? Answer, yes. The billions were used for the purchase of OWC pickups. Which government procurement entity did the procurement? It was NADS that did the procurement. That's the answer. Number 3, is there any audit query over the procurement? Answer, no, there has never been any audit query. Question number 4, were the pickups given out to the right coordinators?
Ask to be on the same show with him, so
yes,
that
the pickups were given out to the right coordinators. Number 5, did the coordinators use the pickups for the intended purpose? Answer, yes, coordinators use the pickups for coordinating activities of the OWC program. Question number 6, is OWC a success with tangible outcomes and impacts in the communities or it was a failure? And there's a fairly long answer talking about what OWC has achieved. Question number 7, why doesn't Honorable Semuju use his position as a member of parliament to request for an impact assessment so that he can speak from an informed point of view? Answer, he doesn't want the impact assessment because such a report will definitely disapprove his lies about OWC over the years. The report shall expose him as a cheap populist member of parliament. Question number 8, what is his problem then? Answer, his problem must be the imminent loss of his political seat. He is trying to use cheap populism for political gain in his constituency, where he is bound to lose come 2026. All indicators point to that. The NRM government has delivered extremely well in all sectors of service delivery, to the extent that the likes of Honorable Semuju Nganda have nothing to criticize the reason they have resorted to personal attacks, personality blackmail and attacks. Honorable Semuju suffers from a disease known as superiority complex. He thinks he is so intelligent, great and above everybody. The reason he has blackmailed almost everyone he has ever come close to, from his political party members to the first family. Honorable Semuju forgets. Then there are some things, yes, it's very long. I say up to 11. 11 has A, B, C, 12, 13, 14.
Read the threats.
The threats. Yes, threats. What would appear like threats start on, let me see. Enefa teulira ngombe. There's a question. Yes. All writings are on the wall that the Kaguta family legacy of liberation, struggles, peace, respect for humanity, democracy, and socio-economic transformation can never be washed away. Despite Honorable Semuju being a key beneficiary of all this, he continues to disrespect the fighters. Enefa teulira ngombe. I just beg you, Honorable Semuju, to leave General Saleh alone. You don't know that General Saleh means what General Saleh means to us, Ugandans. Attacking him is like attacking the entire Uganda. Concentrate on doing your parliamentary work as provided by law. Hold government to account without blackmailing our God-sent freedom fighters. Apart from being a member of parliament, always remember that you are a nobody. Stay warned not to take the NRM freedoms, democracy, and diplomacy for granted. You are like someone playing with a cobra snake because he has been told that it is fangless. You don't have monopoly over what you do. Any other disgruntled Ugandans with you may choose to do the same to you in another fashion and style. Goodbye. My sincere greetings to your wife and children. Yeah, that's where it ends.
Does he need to respond to such?
I don't know if he...
I don't think.
Yes.
You see, as I said, they just get Sare one day, and then the good thing he says he wants to go to court. I just ask the Almighty to give him courage and energy, such that we meet there. Because we've met at a radio station, maybe one day you invite him to come here and we have a debate about his operation, whether it's a creation, and whether it was a success.
I believe he's watching and we extend the invitation.
Whether it was a success or not.
Let
all of them know. As long as you establish family rule, that you have a brother who is in charge of the country, and you, Sare, you are in charge of wealth, Museveni's wife is in charge of education, the son is in charge of military, the children, we will speak about you until that has stopped. Or you will stop us.
Charles, just 1 minute. Just 1 minute. I wanted to say this, that they dispute the idea of ideology, but what I want to tell Ugandans is that any political party that is not built on ideology is bound to fail. That's why
What
you
was
see.
the ideology of
Like
UPA?
That's why you see the
Like
FDC now
NRM.
is in disarray.
What was the
Like
ideology of UPA?
Every other day they are coming
No,
up with
she has
the
never
new.
been a member of UPM, so she
They
did
are
not
coming
know.
up
But
with the
Museveni said
new.
NRM is not new.
Every day they are forming new political parties because they don't know what
But
they
Museveni
stand
has
for.
belonged to all.
But
He was in
it
UPC,
is not
he was
about-
in DP,
Let me
he was
finish.
in UPM,
Let me finish.
now he's in NRM.
It is not about
So
the
being in
amount
many
of
parties
time.
is a-
In the
Let me just
circumstances
finish.
that they are
She
degenerating
doesn't
into
know. She
a
doesn't
chorus
know that
song.
NRM
Let me
Can I
finish.
use my time?
Let me
Can-
finish.
can-
Away
can-
zero
can we-
Just
name.
a
can we
second.
allow-
Just a second. I
Can I
finish.
use my time?
It is not about the amount of time that a leader stays in power. We have seen South Sudan. It is hardly 15 years. But already, when I travel to my home district in Koboko,
So they have no
and I
ideology.
go to Raba at the border, it's
So
a
South
ghost,
Sudan
it's a
has
ghost
no
town.
ideology.
It is not about the amount of time a leader has spent
No,
in
no,
power.
no, I want to hear you.
Leadership,
South Sudan
leadership-
has no ideology.
Leadership built on ideology is bound to stand. That's why the NRM government is
NRM
still
has
in
no
power.
ideology.
Thank you.
And it is yet to continue.
Barnabas, you have your time.
Talking about ideology,
I will use-
look at the
I will
list.
use my time.
Look at the list of the historical high command
To
and council.
assure-
They are all
Can
of the
you
same
allow
ethnic
Barnabas-
group.
Can you allow Barnabas to use his time, please?
You know, from the time after graduating, finishing my back course, I stopped. I became civil in my debates, more civil. So I would want to listen.
We are listening. please.
Then I submit when you are listening to
Yeah.
me. I want to state that currently, what the president is doing is in order. And he should continue, and actually he should intensify, and we pray for more energy for him to reach every district. If
At 80, the energy is limited.
Please
no,
allow.
energy is from God, and
But at 80, energy is limited. You can pray forever, but
see, I just speak one thing. It scratches all of them.
Allow
It's-
Barnabas to make his concluding remarks.
Something that I
no, I am
want-
only advising
I
you
want
as
to
as a brother.
You know, each of you has had your
As
time.
we
Let him
move,
use his
as
time.
we move to 2026, let us restrain ourselves, particularly people from my party. We must make sure that we intensify our mobilization, particularly for younger people, and carry the
Young
message
people rejected
the
you, they don't
president is
support
taking to the masses. The issue Honorable Semoju has with the Saleh, they will
NRM
sort it
is
out.
anti-young
But I
people.
would not
You
want
have
our
no
supporters
solution to the
to start
unemployment.
threatening a member of parliament.
destroyed the education
It's
system.
below the belt.
Kavanda, please allow.
NRM has
No,
nothing good for the young people.
allow Barnabas to use his time.
No, I'm just
We
informing
are
him.
concluding the show.
Yes, but I'm only informing him.
No, we cannot extend the show beyond the time we have.
It's below the belt for anybody to start threatening Honorable Semoju. Honorable Semoju can be going outside there. Some gun hits him. These days in Kampala, they have the group that he wants to settle for discussion of government issues. Largely they are proletariats. They are fighting to survive the next day. They can meet him and beat him down and he dies. Then they will say it is Saleh who has killed him. So that cheap talk of this, if you are, the only thing that you can only talk is threatening a honorable member. Restrain yourself. Restrain yourself. Let's talk something tangible. The message or the path has been delivered. Let us carry the message the president is carrying to the masses as our party. And 2026, we'll beat these people. You don't need to cry. Eh? Even when they cry, we'll beat them again. And time will come.
The scars are still there from the last beating.
Time will come.
Let
Please
them stop
conclude.
using national resources.
I am
to bring
meaning
people
we will win
together.
you.
They use vans.
I
to
am
elect
meaning
people.
we are going to defeat
Honorable
you,
Kavanda,
not
please.
caning you.
You get money from
No,
government.
we don't collect
You
people
get
to go
money
to where
from
Bobby Wine
government.
goes.
Nope, it's
But
the
for you,
second after
for
NRM.
you bring all vans from
Our
time
Parliament,
is
from
out.
wherever.
Our time
Charles,
is
I
out.
will
Our time
return
is
to
out.
my
means
previous
people-
Our time
form
is
of
out.
debate, where I silence everyone on the show and I debate
I
alone.
think you have a
Because
monopoly.
I can.
Yes.
I know the trick.
Honorable Tinka Simire, thank you very much. Our time is out. We need to get out of here. Thank you very much. Honorable Barnabas Tinka Simire, thank you very much. Hajat Medina, Thank you very much, Honorable Aisha Kabanda and Honorable Ibrahim Semujunganda. Frontliner Ofono Pondo was unable to be on the show today. Maybe he'll join us again next week. We haven't had the results yet from Kisoro by-election. The Electoral Commission hasn't yet announced. No, you did say that Kisoro has a difficult terrain. It is you who said it.
That's
so
true.
I would want to imagine that...
Did I have to say it? Who doesn't?
I want to imagine that collection of the results maybe has been not as easy as you would have expected. So we will, however, on the various platforms of Next Media, bring you to speed with the results as soon as they are announced. For those following on Afro Mobile, our social media platforms, and on our programming as the day continues, we will be able to bring you that information as and when it is available. Thank you very much, members, for being part of this discussion. Thank you very much to our viewers who follow us and send us feedback every Thursday. And thank you very much to the production crew that's there played to deliver the show to you. From me, till next Thursday.